Hello, this is Greg Allison from Green Greg's coming to you on the 17th of June 2020 with news about a deadly clash between India and China, the worst they've had between them since 1975. And again, this is along the actual line of control in the Ladakh region between India and China. Ladakh is formerly a part of what was Kashmir, and that has a lot to do with the conflict. But what's happened is that 20 Indian soldiers have died, including an Indian colonel, and it's reported by the Indian forces that maybe up to 35 Chinese casualties occurred, including one of their commanders, but China's not reporting that. You know, China's just kind of quiet. China says no casualties on their side, like they have no, you know, almost no casualties from the Wuhan CCCP, you know what. Anyway, so typewriter bug. Yeah, China is so honest. We can believe them so well. But in any event, this is a situation that appears to be calm at the moment. But don't let calmness deceive you, because whilst this is going on, this was supposed to have been in the era which India and China were disengaging, and suddenly they just had the worst fisticuff fight that led to casualties. 3 Indians died immediately, and 17 succumbed afterwards due to altitude and cold weather. Supposedly their injuries got them. At least that's what's reported. It could be worse. Could have been worse, but 20 Indians are dead, that we know. Now, I've done 2 videos in late May, one on the 10th and one on the 25th, and those videos covered the clashes between China and India. And I also did a video on the 8th, posted on the 18th of September, actually recorded on the 15th. Sometimes I just can't get around to posting things on the day I make them, because I'm a busy puppy. That said, that video was about conflict between India and Pakistan. And India and Pakistan have been kind of at each other's throats, and of course the President PM of India, had stated that it was possible that there could be a nuclear conflict between the two, given the tensions in that area. So the tensions between Pakistan and India and China both exist. Now, between India and Pakistan, that had to do with China revoking Article 370 from the Indian Constitution, which gave autonomy to Kashmir and Jammu sections, states in northern India in the Himalayan mountain area. And those estates are principally Muslim, whereas India is principally Hindu. However, India had claimed these areas in Pakistan, and India had fought over them, and India and China have fought over these areas in the past. So, all that said, India revoked autonomy of Jammu and principally of Kashmir. And then they divided Kashmir and added a state called Ladakh. And Ladakh is considered to be a federally controlled state. So when I talk about Ladakh, that's what we're talking about. And that was seen as heavy-handed by a lot of people in the world. And China also claims that as the reasons why they're suddenly aggressive in that area. Never mind that China's aggressive with China, Indonesia, the Philippines, Malaysia, and everywhere else right now. So we'll go back to that in a minute. But yeah, I think China's intentions are somewhat different. They're just using it as an excuse because China's got their Belts and Roads initiative, trying to extend their new Silk Road, if you will, and make it wider and broader for trade or military advance, whatever they're going to use. We're going to go touch back on that topic in just a moment. By the way, just a real quick blurb. If you've not subscribed to my channel, subscribe. I have all kind of videos on a broad range of topics that cover prepping, that cover growing your own food, worm farming, eating from the wild edibles, how to eat from the trees and weeds. Yes, there's a lot of food up in here. If a man knows how to use it, he should never starve. And I cover things like that. Things that keep you still alive, thrive, and out of the hive. That's the proposition of this channel. So again, subscribe. Bang the update notification bell. Click all. But then sometimes the powers that be love us so much in YouTube that they don't always give people notifications. So do check my channel regularly to make sure you've got them. And to support my channel, please click the links to True Leaf Market. It is gardening time. It is time to plant. And you need to plant heirloom seeds. Heirloom seeds are the ones that you can harvest the seeds from and replant and get the same plants back. A lot of other good things like microgreens that you can grow indoors in case you're in the city. And if you're in the city, you might want to think real hard about getting out. You might be the guy that wants to bug out. But bug out to where? And if you are in the country, you might hunker down and see if you can bug in. That's always the best. But then have the bug out as a backup. Now, talking about bugging in, bugging out, and prepping, I have long-term food storage, great deal, a month supply, $100 off with my Patriot Supply. Click with the link below to prepwithgreg.com, or just go to prepwithgreg.com, and you can go from there to all the other My Patriot Supply prepping supplies. If you're not prepping now, holy smoke. And if you are prepping, you better shore up your preps right now while you can, because things are getting really interesting in the world. Yeah, Greg, why are you covering this topic in the first place? Of course, I cover this topic because tensions between India and China have many ways of spilling over and affecting us here and now. First and foremost, there's this prospect of a nuclear winter. Even a war between China and Pakistan could kick up enough dust if, they say 100 of these nuclear devices go off, bombs as we shall call them, then that is thought to be enough to instigate a nuclear winter if you're burning cities and other things with them. Given that we're going into a period of grand solar minimum, we certainly don't need to add to the cooling effects right now. Of course, China and India going into conflict could be even worse. And we should talk about that. And then, of course, probably you won't get one without the other. If China comes in on India or Pakistan on India, the other just might take opportunity. So you may have China and Pakistan gaining up on India. And the other consequence of that, well, for one, supply chains. We're going to be facing severe food shortages in this country in the upcoming months because of disruptions of the supply chains. I've talked some about that in the past. I will talk about it more in the future. And that's another reason to go to prepwithgreg.com and to grow your own food more than anything else. And also to know wild edibles, especially if you have to bug out, especially if you need to be a gray man or a lone wolf, silent camper, hiker, survivor. So I'll talk a lot more about that in future videos, so that's why you want to subscribe to my channel. Now back to this thing with India and China. So this conflict occurred along the actual line of control in the Galwan Valley of the Ladakh state, the federally owned state of India, federally controlled state I should say. It was formerly Kashmir in northern India in the Himalayan mountains. What happened is apparently, according to the Indian forces, the Chinese forces went in and built a temporary building inside of the Indian side of the actual line of control. So they went in to tear it down. And they had a rather feisty fisticuff and rock throwing exercise. And you can kill people with rocks, by the way. So, not a pretty thing. But it can happen, so I don't know what all actually happened, what kind of weapons they had. It was said there was batons, rocks, and fists being thrown around. I don't know. Was it there? How do you kill 20 Indians and some number of Chinese reportedly, according to the Indian side? Not according to China. Got all these people. According to them. Yeah, right. So much for China's claims, but see, there's two other consequences that we may have to deal with. Again, there's risk to our power grid. We may get into this conflict. We may be drawn into it also. Now, India may be counting on us. See, we actually gave India kind of a wink and nod on their revocation of Article 370 from the Indian Constitution. And that revocation, we kind of support it because we kind of see India as the big more benign of the bigger powers in Asia as opposed to China. But that's not a very benign action, and some of the other places didn't care for it so much. But in general, I see China as the bigger aggressor. I don't see anybody as innocent over there. Or here, for that matter. None of these governments are really innocent. United States, India, China, Pakistan, we've all got our smudge on our faces. You've heard me often say that, the people of the world, if we could work together, we'd get along. It's always the governments that pit us and other powers that pit us and divide us against each other, and we're being divided against each other in the United States at this very moment. Tensions are ratcheting high all over the world. And China and India, well, India might be kind of banking on India's also getting more aggressive in the area, and they're maybe banking on the idea that we're going to back them up. We may or we may not. We actually do not have a treaty with India. So that means we may not back them up. and they may get aggressive and, or, you know, have higher hopes, let's say, than they might otherwise have. And they would have a hard time dealing with China. Dealing with Pakistan and China for India would be catastrophic without somebody else major backing them up. So are they going to, would they cut a deal to pull us in? When you consider the geopolitical things going on, we're already on the verge of getting into it with China, possibly. I'll talk about that again in the future. I'll talk about the Thucydides trap some more, and why that may mean that America and China are at least 75%, if not higher likelihood, of a major conflict down the road. All that said, of course, then China might not actually be on the rise anymore, which might make me even more dangerous. So we're going to talk about this. China is, you know, they have traded on and bargained with countries on, you know, people's want to trade with the big market of China. And they've used that as sort of a soft blackmail and political power to gain advantage and more control and influence in the world. Well, now suddenly they're playing a lot rougher in the Southeast Asian area and the South China Sea and with other countries, so that they're getting more aggressive. A lot of countries are taking note, to include Australia and European countries, and they're thinking to cut back their trade with China. As of course India is. India is talking about a total boycott on China as a result of all these things. As trade increases, suddenly the original drive for the Belt and Roads Initiative may not be there, but it might be useful for other things. Think about this. China has said they want to take Hong Kong. China said they want to take Taiwan. Of course, China was supposed to have a deal, 50-year deal, to let Hong Kong be, you know, separate but independent until the year 2047. Look how that's going. China's reneged on that deal. They're going in brute force, apparently, to overtake Hong Kong. That's what it looks like. So, what's going to happen with Taiwan? If they had a chance, they'd do something, but they're not going. Taiwan's just not going to roll over and say, "Oh, China, come get us." No. So it's possible that when the goodwill dries up and it's no longer a profit to China to play nice, and while they still have excess production capacity, they may think the iron is hot. I've always said, strike while the iron is hot, get it while the getting's good. If that's their attitude, they may think this is suddenly the best time for them ever to be aggressive and adventurous. And if that's the case, China may move. And they may use these new roads to take access to Mideast oil. They may go in with other countries that may be natural allies to them, such as Iran and Pakistan and North Korea. And North Korea is also getting very, very bellicose with South Korea all at once here. So what's happening? North Korea, North Korea, China, Pakistan, and Iran. That'd be like the four demons of the East, crossing the Euphrates River through all these new roads. Yeah, to go take oil from Saudi Arabia to go into North Africa. And the grand solar minimum, North Africa may be the food belt. When suddenly they can't grow food in China, maybe they're setting up roads and niches in Africa. They may be paving the way to go in and take Africa. And it sounds a whole lot like the stories in the book of Revelations. 200 million man army. When that book was written, you could not, there was only 50 million people on Earth. Only 50 million people on Earth. So how could they imagine an army 4 times bigger than the whole population of the planet? Interesting. Interesting. I don't know. I am just this is all conjecture. It's all big live action role play entertainment session, right? Except for this is not too entertaining. It's not too funny, really, is it now? So yeah, things could get interesting. It's real. And we're already at loggerheads with China, so if something goes off like that, it could be one thing leads to another. Shoes might start dropping. Who knows where it could go? The world is in tension right now. People are all tense over economies dropping. These are the ingredients that make fertile ground for conflict. Civil war and global war. Yeah, we could be dealing with both at the same time. Very, very, very ugly picture, and we could lose our power grid. I would estimate that, you know, the Congressional EMP Task Force says 9 out of 10 people would die within a year if we didn't have our power grid.
But I would say since let me be generous, since 80% of the country's urban, let's say there's 80% that would survive, and since I kind of surveyed farms and saw that only about 1 in 8 actually had gardens, let's say that 1 in 8 of that makes it through. You're really talking about 2.5%. You know, I would say that when a year would be lucky if America had 8 million people. The American Indians' carrying capacity for having, you know, their smaller scale agriculture that didn't have petrol things driving it and living off the land from this country was about 10 million in North America prior to the Europeans coming. But they were strong, hardy people. I don't know that we would have half that, honestly. I'd say 5 to 8 million might be all that's left if all these things come to pass. This is why you really seriously need to get yourself ready. This is why you really seriously need to prepare and to start preparing now. This is why you really seriously need to go through and watch my videos I've had, and why you need to subscribe to my channel, and why you need to watch the future videos. I'm going to go more into these things in the future. This is why you need to go with prepwithgreg.com. This is why you need to get your seeds. Check out my video, Seeds of Survival. Why seeds were so vital to the American Indians on the Trail of Tears. You will see these things. You will learn these things. I'm trying to build a case for a set of lessons for what it's going to take to survive. I'm trying to form a survival tribe, network of tribes, because the lone survivor is going to be extremely hard put to make it in these times. So I'll put a link below to go to HAL, the Arabic number 5, space at AOL.com if you're interested in tribes. And just cite today's date, 17 June. And so I know you got it from this video. You can kind of trace when your email came in as opposed to others. I have somebody helping me. I have not returned all the emails yet. I'm still up to my neck in things. You notice my worm farm is still shut down. It will come back online in the future. I'm not going to say when just yet. I'm concerned about the post office's ability to ship worms in the summer. The post office's ability to make timely shipments has been massively downgraded, and when you're doing live shipments of anything, that becomes a great concern. And I still haven't dug out of the hole I was in. I'm working on it, making progress, but I'm not dug out. So let's talk a little bit more about this thing going on between India and China. I'm not done on that topic. So the funny thing is this: China keeps making all these statements. Oh, we want peace. They said we don't want any more conflicts between India and China. Of course, they said that even before this latest skirmish. You know, they're saying that everything is generally stable and controllable. The same language they used previously. But in the meantime, they're not withdrawing their troops. They're still building up. And while they're saying that, they're conducting live fire exercises not too far from the location of where all this took place. Not a lot of indication that they really mean what they're saying. Of course, that may be their modus operandi, their MO. That they would go out and do those kind of things. You know, they typically use the principles of Sun Tzu. And Sun Tzu is to avoid, you know, direct conflict as long as possible. But they may be reaching the end of that rope. They may be preparing for something more. But they want to get all the advantage they can before they get there. Of course, that's what you would do when you build up. Especially if you're beyond the point of caring what the world opinion is anymore, because you've already got a black mark on your face due to a certain typewriter bug that got loose and about upon everybody. So these are things to think about. We are in serious times, and what is happening over there between India and China and Pakistan and China really matter right here in America. They matter because of the potential of nuclear winter. They matter because of the potentials of us getting drug into it. They matter because of more potential for supply trains crashing. They matter for many reasons. More global economic pressure. Who knows? We also know that warfare has always been historically a big breeding ground for disease, like this 1918 Spanish flu, for example. We wouldn't know anything about a pandemic these days now, would we? But China's also been known for advancing what is called media warfare, physical, cyber warfare, and legal warfare, according to some sources. And you know, so they pull out no stops to get their position advanced as much as they can to get in the strongest place they can be in, and then it might go hot. I don't know, it may not. Will it go hot or not? Well, I say pray for the best.
hope for the best and prepare for the worst. We can always hope that these things won't come to pass. And, you know, I'm going to do more prayer sessions in the future to try to help move us into a better place. And hopefully others will join with us. We're going to try to grow that movement. But I think I'm going to have to take that on another channel, along with my Wounds Woken Wednesdays, which I will do a session tonight at 9. But I do think we're going to have to take that to another channel, because every time I post a video on that stuff, I get tons of unsubscriptions. People don't like it, subscribe to this channel. So I think that needs to be split off, and I will look at doing that in a not too distant future. If I do, it'll be a different channel name, and I'll discuss that in my live session tonight. By the way, just so happens that Rex Bear and I will be on TV probably the 19th of July on the Weather Channel, program Weird Earth. 19th of July at 9 p.m. Eastern Daylight Time. And another one coming up on the 2nd of August. I think the 2nd of August I'll be in that one more. I think I just got a couple quick appearances on the 9th. That's what I'm told. I haven't seen them. You know, I know I was filmed for quite a bit of time. And you know how they do. They take hours and edit it down to minutes. So I have no idea what they're going to put on. They had 3 of us, and we all had to kind of compete with each other. And sometimes we had to kind of let, you know, winners. We had to toss the baton of who would be the winner of it all. But it was a lot of fun, what we did. And hopefully you'll enjoy it too. We talk about a lot of different interesting topics. So I'm sure you'll find that quite interesting and hopefully very entertaining and informative. So that's the Weather Channel, Weird Earth. And I will mention that again tonight. And I'm going to open a package that Rex sent me live tonight on my session tonight at 9. So look, watch out at 9 p.m. for my live session. And I wish everybody the best. Get ready, be prepared, really be prepared. I mean, stuff's going down, my friends. Stuff's going down. We may get a second, just naturally get a second wave of this stuff going around, but I think there may be other stuff to come loose. My friends, I'm expecting more shoes to drop. So get ready before it does pop. That's all I can say. Again, I'm here to help you to survive, thrive, and stay out of the hive. But though, to know what's coming at you, you got to keep your eyes wide open and head on a swivel. And that's what this is. This is part of my eyes wide open and head on a swivel series of news to tell you what might be coming at you. And I'll probably create a playlist to that effect and call it that down the road. Anyway, my friends, thank you for watching.